podcast with Bobby Robbins, badass hockey player. And we're going to learn a lot more about this guy because I need to learn a lot more about this guy. I know that he kicks ass and he takes on it. And that's pretty much all I know. And that's pretty much all you know out there in the audience. But we're going to learn some shit. I also know he's from Providence, Rhode Island. So what's up, Bobby? How you doing? Welcome.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Aubrey. Big fan.
Yeah, right on, brother. Right on. So right now you're in Providence and you're playing for the Bruins minor league team. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm playing for the Providence Bruins. It's, if you know baseball terms, it's kind of like the AAA minor league affiliate, and it's called the American Hockey League. So it's pretty much one step from the NHL, and we're all here trying to develop and hopefully get that call up to the big show.
I thought you were trying to drink and bang broads. That's what I've heard from minor league hockey teams.
Yeah, I've heard that some guys are, but I'm actually married. I just had a kid 5 months ago.
Oh, congratulations. See, look at this. Look at this, people.
Days are over.
We're learning things about Bobby Robbins as promised already. He is not like most minor league hockey players that I've talked to, and he's married, and he's actually trying to advance his career and play for the Boston Bruins.
I can't speak for my past, though. No comment on
that. It is kind of a rite of passage for hockey players. You got to kind of let the wolf out a little bit, you know? It's just part of the nature.
You got to bang around the minor leagues for a while and get a taste of this lifestyle, and then I guess from what I've heard, when you get the call to the big show, it makes it all worthwhile. So that's kind of what we're all doing here. And actually, we have a bunch of guys on my team who are big Onnit fans and listen to the Rogan podcast and everything. And there's a good crew of us, about 6 guys who take all the supplements and listen to all the media and everything. So it's pretty cool to follow you guys.
No, I appreciate that. So what's the, how did it kind of come about? You started listening to podcasts and then just decided to give some of the Onnit stuff a try?
Yeah, well, about 3 years ago, I started listening to the Rogan podcast and really got into that, and obviously heard him talking about Onnit products all the time and did a lot of research. And it was around that time where I was really looking into looking for self-improvement in my own life and my own hockey career, where I had kind of reached a plateau and didn't really know what I was doing either in life or in hockey. And everything came together right around that time where I made a bunch of changes in my life. I got clean off of nicotine and really started living a healthy lifestyle.
Got clean off of nicotine. That's a heroic story, you know?
It sounds so trivial, but I think for anybody who's actually been through it, it's like, yeah. I mean, for me personally, I don't want to downplay it. It's like that was one of the big turning points in my life and my hockey career.
Were you smoking, or were you chewing, or were you smoking cigars?
I was chewing tobacco. I was just stuffing that stuff in my lips pretty much all day.
Yeah.
And got clean off that, started listening to Rogan and you guys and all the Death Squad crew, and really started looking into self-improvement and started reading about Onnit products, and finally made my first order of Alpha Brain and New Mood and took those, and that was 3 years ago, and since then I've been hooked and I've been taking them pretty much every day.
Right on. I think, the Alpha Brain is in some way related, it has a very similar feeling to that nicotinic reaction. The way that the acetylcholine operates on the neurotransmitters in the brain is, very similar, not the same mechanism of action, but somewhat similar, and just doing it in a much healthier way. So I think, that's obviously a great substitute if you do feel like, the nicotine is something that you want to get out of your life. We've had not only yourself, but a lot of other people who really appreciated the Alpha Brain, because it's basically giving you the good side of that without the negative side of, having to, put smoke in your body or put, carcinogenic things in your lips. But interesting to kind of hear that as well. Well, very cool, man. So then, what do you think is, the next kind of step for you? What's going to push you over the edge and get you that call up there to the big shot?
That's the magic question that everybody's looking for the answer to. For me personally, I think that, it's no secret what kind of brand of hockey I play. I like to.
It is to some of the people. What is it? Tell us.
Oh, okay.
Tell us, Bobby.
The secret is I like to get in there and mix it up physically. And if you've seen hockey fights on TV, I'm one of those guys who gets into maybe 20 or 30 fights a year. And, people call him like an enforcer or fighter, a tough guy, a goon. I don't know. I'd like to just think of myself as a hockey player who happens to fight whenever I need to. But
But you look
that's
like
kind of
you
part of
still
my
look like
job
you have all
description
your
and my
teeth.
MO out there is I'm one of the guys who fights. And I realized a few years ago in my career that that was what was going to hopefully propel me to the NHL. And I made the conscious decision to start fighting and to start training to learn how to fight and to just go out there and do it. And so I've pretty much, this is like my third or fourth year actually fighting and defining myself in that role. And this is where I'm at now. I'm one step away. And so I think for me personally, I just have to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. I like that. So you actually it's funny to hear you say you made a conscious decision to do that, because everybody thinks of a hockey fight as this kind of, that there's some people who do it, but I think the opinion is, oh, he's just this hothead kind of, it's like an emotional reaction. But for you, it seems like a calculated decision strategically to not only advance your hockey career, but help your team perform better out on the ice.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of strategy in it. Hockey wise with the team, there's strategy for changing the flow of momentum in a game. And a lot of times during a hockey game, there'll be a lull, and maybe your team's not playing well, and there's not a lot of energy. And so a guy like me, an energy guy or a fighter on a team, I know that when I get out there for my next shift, my role is to look to smash a guy through the glass and really get physical. And if somebody challenges me, to drop the gloves and get into a fight, knowing that that's my purpose at that moment, to try and get
Let's
my
go.
team going.
Let's go through that. So you're out there, your team's just kind of lackadaisical. Things are going a little slow, and you're like, "Fuck, I gotta light this fuse right now." Right. So do you have like players in mind that you're gonna try and rough up a little bit, that you think might try and get back at you? I mean, what's your strategy? Are you just looking for any opportunity, a cheap shot from someone on another one of your players, or what's kind of going through your head?
Well, when you play against another team, you pretty much know what guys fight on the other team.
Mm-hmm.
Then there'll be maybe 3 or 4 guys, and there's usually one big heavyweight on the other team. Then he'll have a middleweight and a couple guys underneath him who are the fighters as well. And usually, those guys will be out there playing against my line that I'm on. And so if that point comes in a hockey game where I'm like, oh man, now's the time. And, at this point in my career, you can kind of sense it. It took a while to really get that down, but it's almost like you have a sixth sense about when to do it. And a little voice says, well, now's the time to fight if you're going to fight. And then
do you get butterflies when that happens? Is that like, do you get that kind of feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, you get nervous for sure, and it's a really weird feeling. And I mean, I'll be the first to admit that it's a scary feeling, and I feel fear when I'm out there. But I just have to make that decision to confront that fear and go through with it. And then once I've accepted that, I reach almost a calm state where it's a state of acceptance, and like, well, I'm going to go do what I have to do now for myself and my job and my family, and I'm going to go fight this other guy, and just trust in myself and my training and my instincts that I'll survive it and help the team win and help myself and my career, and hope that it'll be a positive in all regards.
The zen of hockey fighting. Who would have thought?
Yeah, oh yeah. There's a big time zen in there. I'm kind of starting to scratch the surface of that kind of stuff too, and trying to become more zenful instead of. I find that when I'm in a zen state on the ice, playing hockey or fighting, I'm more effective than just that amped up, crazy, primal state, which I've had to rely on for a long time in my career. Like, I was always the guy who'd be out there grunting and speaking in tongues and just being a wild man and crazy, and like going crazy before the game. But a lot of times when I was in that state, it was effective for aggression and fighting, but oftentimes the hockey would suffer, where I wouldn't have the poise to make
play.
The finesse plays that are required in this day and age in hockey. Like that, the one-dimensional goon doesn't exist anymore in the NHL. It's guys who can really play hockey well, and they can fight too.
Yeah, Tiger Williams is no longer. I remember him as an old Kings fan. They used to joke that he couldn't even skate. He had to hold the side of the ring when he was going out there. That was the old joke. Obviously, you could.
Yeah, like they push you out. They just push you out there and you glide out and say, "All right, go get him, buddy."
Yeah, man, that's.
Those guys are dinosaurs now in the new NHL, and that's only happened recently, like within the last 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And that was a big part of why I made the decision to learn how to fight and to do it. and to train and try and learn how to do it, so that I knew that the new NHL would be players who fight and play.
Yep.
So it was kind of a strategic positioning for myself, and that's the route that I took, and hopefully I'll get there one day. Knock on wood.
So you talk about training for the fighting aspect, and that's really interesting to me too, because you never see that. You know what boxers do, you know what kickboxers do, you know what MMA fighters do, but how do you train to fight in a hockey fight? Like take us through how that goes. Are you just making shit up,
Well,
or is there like actual trainers? Is there the
pretty much
Mickey
just
Roach of
making shit
hockey
up.
fighters?
I mean, one of the biggest things about hockey fight, like I'd never really been in a fight off the ice or on the ice until I was 18 years old at my first junior tryout, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming to fight you, and you're told that, yeah, you better back it up and fight when a guy comes to fight you, and you don't really know what you're doing, and you're just swinging around and throwing haymakers. But for me personally, learning how to fight meant just actually learning how to throw punches, and um, that was through working with boxers and training with MMA instructors, and just learning how to throw crisp and accurate punches. And then once you get that down, it's all about the grappling of on ice practicing. Where after practice, the guys who fight will grab onto each other, and it's kind of like fake fighting, where you don't throw real punches, but you're grappling with a guy and um, trying to get good position. And
Yep.
it's definitely a fine art in itself that is it's not really explored in training yet. I'm sure it will be as long as it stays in the game, but right now it's just a bunch of meatheads out there grappling and throwing fake punches at each other, and training boxing and MMA in the summers.
It, yeah, it seems like there would be an opportunity if someone really actually kind of analyzed it like a really good fight coach would, like a Dwayne Bang Ludwig, someone to really analyze what your advantages were, maybe a judoka and a striker and something like that, to really figure out how to do it. Um, Seems like you could be pretty dominant out there, because I don't know how many other people would be doing that.
Yeah, there are some coaches recently who are trying to break it down. Um, I know, like, because you're actually grabbing the jerseys.
Right.
That's when I don't know what martial art it is where you're grabbing the gi, and
It'd be more like judo.
different,
Yeah.
like judo. Yeah. So there's people trying to break it down that way, and there's actually there's fight coaches. If have you heard of the movie The Goon?
Yeah. Wasn't very
With
good.
Stifler
Yeah.
is in that movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
Great movie, by the way. So that
Differing
that
opinions on that movie, but yeah, yeah, it was
a classic of our time. That movie is. But that guy who that movie was based on is actually
That
he's
was
a guy,
based on a real
Doug
person.
Smith. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's based on a guy named Doug Smith, who literally was just a killer, and he was I think he was a Golden Gloves boxer, never played hockey, and his buddy was like, said, "Hey man, come out and try and learn how to fight, be a fighter." And he did. He learned how to. He was like that guy who they pushed out to the middle of the ice, and but eventually he learned how to play hockey, and he made it to the American League level to fight. And a book was written about him, and then that story was about him. And he lives in Boston. He's a police officer, great guy, and he's a fight coach now. And he comes down and works with the Bruins, and taught me personally how to fight. And I owe a lot of where I am right now to him.
That's crazy. I had no idea that was based on a true story. I thought it was just Stifler being Stifler. But right on, the intricacies of that. So, as far as the rest of your game, what else are you known for out there on the ice? I know like Duncan Keith is known for his, great passing and vision, and, these other defensemen, obviously Chara has a slap shot that'll, rip a hole in the back of the net. What other things do you add to make yourself a well-rounded hockey player out there?
I'm known as a forechecker.
Yeah.
So, if Char's the defenseman going to get the puck, I'm the guy who's flying in there and trying to disrupt the play. And I mean, there's two ways to disrupt the play. It's one, you can come at a guy with your stick and try and poke the puck off his stick, or you can try to separate the man from the puck. And that's what I was always taught. And that's what I always loved doing, was just trying to smash guys into the glass. And I love body checking, and I love the feeling of collision, like high speed collisions. And I've always liked that. And that's something that I've always played that way. And that's another reason why I knew I had to bring fighting into the game, is because in hockey, there's kind of a code where if say you're my teammate and the guy takes a big run at you and really smashes you, lays you out, you're hurt. I'm going to come in there and almost like a protector or the
Sure.
enforcer, and I'm going to enforce this unwritten rule that, well, you better not run Aubrey like that. Now you got to fight me.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe next time he won't do that. And so it's kind of like fighting and checking go hand in hand, because you have to answer the bell, and people have to make the decision if they're going to be a checker and a forechecker, whether they are going to answer the bell or not, because you'll definitely get challenged. And that goes back to that decision that I keep referring to that I made, is like, I'm going to answer the bell. And
You're going to ring the bell to start as well, it sounds like.
yeah.
Not only just answer.
Oh yeah,
You're
exactly.
going to
I
put it
like
out
that.
there.
Ring the bell and answer the bell.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about, and I hope they are able to leave that someone in the game, because I think as I've talked to hockey players, it is important to have that, because you'll never be able to see, the ref will never be able to catch all the little dirty things that someone can do out there on the ice. So having the ability to fight and settle it that way allows you to self-regulate the game. It's almost like it's intrinsic. Not, you can't just remove that and have everything stay the same. Like it's an intrinsic part of the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you see that in college too. In college hockey, there's no fighting allowed, and it's very chippy, and there's a lot of dirty plays, and a lot of high hits, a lot of stick work, and it's just known to be a kind of a dirtier league to play in. And then once you reach pro, where you have to, if you're going to play like that, you have to answer the bell, and it really alleviates a lot of those pesky guys who are, playing dirty in college. And I think it'll always be in the game. I mean, I think when they polled the NHL players and you poll hockey players, it's like 98% of the people think that it should be in the game. And it's people on the outskirts, like the people in the media, who are always saying that it shouldn't. And, there obviously are a lot of concerns with head trauma and things like that. But it's like, you can't really nerf the world.
Yeah.
And
those don't, you don't hear that a lot from the fights, though. You hear that a lot about the hits, like the boarding and the things like that. Because with bare knuckles, that's actually an argument for MMA as well, is if everything moved back to bare knuckles, the head trauma would be significantly reduced, because you can't wind up and punch someone in the side of the head repeatedly with your bare knuckles. It's just, you're going to break your hand. You have to be a lot more strategic with the placement. And if you do clip someone right in the jaw, they're out. You know what I mean? So, actually putting the padding on the hands, it makes it a lot worse for the brain. The more padding, the more brain trauma you're going to generally have. So I think that's one thing that's good about hockey, is you guys are just bare knuckles out there, bare knuckles and cold skin. That's, it's actually a lot, even though it seems more brutal, it's way safer than big old boxing gloves.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, you get huge boxing gloves on, and guys can just drop bombs on your head, and there's so much trauma going on. Mm-hmm. Where in a hockey fight, there's really, you'll see injuries here and there, but guys are fighting for maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds at the longest, and the guys are throwing punches, but the number of them that are actually connecting and connecting accurately is pretty low. Usually most are glancing blows, and a lot of the times guys have their helmets on, and it's hitting the side of plastic. So I definitely think that it's dangerous, but there's way more dangerous sports. Well, I think all the things that they're discovering with brain injuries, it's pretty alarming. And being a part of it and seeing some of my peers have brain injuries and things like that, it definitely makes you think, and makes you wonder if it's all worth it, and it makes it that much more real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. So tell us about some of the preparations you go through to, keep your body healthy, keep everything going on, not just the Onnit stuff, but including that, and just your general regimen of bulletproofing your body, getting your peak performance, and taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I'm really big on that, bulletproofing the body, and I try and hit all the boxes, and I try and get body, mind, spirit, and just be as strong as I can in all of those areas. And it starts with nutrition. I eat as clean as possible. I'm pretty much all organic.
Yeah, that's big.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm all organic. I'm eating grass-fed beef, organic chicken, organic chicken eggs, and this year I've gone gluten-free, and I really noticed that in my joints, I don't have any soreness anymore, and I feel like I've reversed age now that I've gone, a clean diet, organic and gluten-free. I feel like just that itself has made such a big difference in my performance on the ice this year. And I'm 32 years old now, so I'm kind of old in hockey years. I'm one of the old bucks in the league, and I'm competing against guys who are now coming up from junior in college who are like 20, 21, 22 years old. And I just realized that, I can't be out, drinking Guinness and eating cheeseburgers every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time, but
So
I have to take it
your
very
vice.
seriously.
Guinness and cheeseburgers. If you had to
What was
just
that?
go if you had to go off the rails, it's Guinness and cheeseburgers.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been known to go off the rails, and usually when I do, it's Guinness and cheeseburgers. So,
Yeah.
but most of the time, I keep it pretty straight with nutrition, and um, I eat clean, like I said, and so I get my body, my mind, and I've been working on my spirit lately, just getting into. Like I said, about scratching the surface with Zen meditation, and
Hmm.
I've been getting into John Kabat-Zinn and reading some of his books and trying some of his stuff and trying to apply that to hockey and my life, obviously, but really seeing how it applies to hockey. Like I said, about not being so intense and just like crazy out there and being more in a meditative state so that I can just kind of flow with that moment on the ice. So I'm not thinking about the future plays I'm going to make or what I made last period or last shift,
Sure.
like actually being in that moment.
That's so
And I found
important for
that,
any sport, or even
yeah,
life itself. I mean, you got to surf that present moment, and you're not always going to be there on the wave, but if you at least know when you're on the wave and you can identify that present moment, sometimes we have to paddle to catch up. Sometimes we'll get, trashed in the white water and have, feel like you're drowning. But if you just know that, what that moment feels like when you're in it, when you're in the present, and try to surf that as long as you can, that's going to give you the best results in anything you're doing.
I think so. I mean, that's a secret definitely in my pursuit of athletics, and I'm starting to figure out that that might be the secret of life as well, and just living in that moment. And like you said, you can definitely make note of it when you're in it. Wow, I'm in it right now, and I felt that this past weekend during some games where we played 3 games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I was feeling the flow and just really almost moving effortlessly and making plays. And I kind of stepped back one time when I got off the bench or when I got off the ice and was on the bench, and I thought to myself, wow, I'm in the zone right now. I'm feeling it. But then I realized I was like, well, now I'm thinking about the past. I'm
Yeah.
like, you idiot, get back in the zone. So then I just be, it's like mind games. I'm like, all right,
Sure.
I'm here now. I'm watching this game. I'm gonna go out there again and play another good shift. And that's the one thing I've been struggling with lately or not really struggling with, but just addressing is that mental aspect of my game. And it's there. We're at such a high level right now where any little thing or any little tweak that can help you get to the next level, it can be as subtle as just changing your perspective of when you're playing out there. And I think that's really cool. That's important, and that's something I've been exploring. And I definitely like from listening. I listened to a podcast you were on recently with Robert Greene
Hmm.
on the Rogan podcast, and that really inspired me just to, not so much the meditative things, but I know he mentioned a book in there called 11 Rings, and I was actually reading that when he mentioned it. So I've been reading that, and that's what it's about. It's about Phil Jackson and
Yep.
his meditative or Zen-like coaching approach. And I definitely think there's something to that where, I think you can be on one extreme of being a crazed lunatic baboon out there, or I think you can also be a Zen master or somewhere in the middle. And I don't know. I
I
think
think
that both
there's
extremes.
there's two different forces. I think knowing that being able to tap into that Zen baboon energy, is an energy source.
Mm.
It's a power source. When you're just fucking exhausted at the end of the line, and being Zen and you're breathing heavy and you just fucking don't know if you have much more to give, pushing that baboon button might be the right time to do it. Like, rah, fuck it, I'm not going to go down like this,
Yeah.
So having being able to access that is important. But I think the overall default mode of being in that Zen state is absolutely vital. And I actually have a trick for you if you feel like you're slipping out of it. So you can just take a deep breath, and then at the end of your breath say, I am.
I am.
That's it. Don't say anything else.
I like that.
You're not trying to judge what it is. You're just acknowledging that you are. And by saying I am, it's like kind of a hack into the brain to let you know that you can get back in it. So if you ever feel yourself, shit, why am I thinking about this? Take that deep breath, say I am, and boom, back in the zone.
Nice. Thank you.
You're
I'll use
welcome.
that for sure.
You're welcome. Give it a go. See how it goes. I've been using that as well. And, especially for really mental games like, pool on an important shot, because you can start thinking about, this is the 8-ball. Oh, shit. And as soon as you start thinking about something like that, or the 9-ball or whatever game you're playing, then your chances of making it go drastically down. You know what I mean? So anytime before that, you can do something like that again. Say, I am, and then shoot. And the results, just anecdotally, are remarkably positive for little things like that. So, and I know, I've tried them in a variety of different things, but being in the zone, because your body knows what to do, your instincts know what to do. It's just your mind that tends to get in the way of that reaction and all the training that you put in. And so slipping that, giving it the slip, that's important, all the little tricks. And then deepening that practice with the meditation. Or have you tried float tanks?
I haven't. There's actually one up in Massachusetts I'm going to go check out. I think it's in Boylston, Mass. One of my buddies, Niter, on the team, he probably wanted me to give him a shout out on the podcast. But Niter's really into float tanks as well.
What's up, Niter?
And what's up, dog? So he's a big fan of you and the whole crew and everything. So we always tell, every day we come to the rink and say, what podcast did you listen to?
Nice.
And leads to some interesting conversations.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. That's right.
But yeah, I'd definitely like to try a isolation tank. I think that's definitely right up my alley. And hopefully this summer I'll get in there.
You should. I mean, it's like meditation on steroids. It's really somewhere between 4 grams of mushrooms and meditation is a flotation tank. Like what you're able to do in there is pretty remarkable. It takes a little bit of working with, getting used to it, figuring out what's going to work best for you. I learned some tricks. I learned not to let myself fall asleep. I think that's really important. So I like to take the alpha brain beforehand, because you don't want to be stimulated, but you also don't want to doze off. Because if you're continually dozing off, it doesn't seem to have that same deep meditation effect. It's almost like a nap that keeps getting interrupted. Still relaxing for your body and stuff, but keeping yourself awake, but locked into that kind of, just really clear thinking, and you'll start to feel like you're in outer space. And it's really, really valuable tool. I wish I got in there more. It's one of those things that every time you do it, you're like, I got to do this a couple times a week. And then, a couple weeks go by and you haven't done it. But,
well, I think I'm going to get hooked. I can see myself really getting into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Well, it's cool to hear that someone, like yourself. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of people that don't fit into one mold. I mean, you're the enforcer out there, the goon, so to speak. But then we're here having a conversation about Zen meditation and flotation tanks and being in the zone. And I think that's going to give you the best approach, not only for the game, but just for life. Not excluding yourself from one set of possibilities by saying, I'm just this one type of guy. So props to you for that, my friend.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I've always been that way, where I enjoy writing. I enjoy the craft and the art of writing. And I made English writing when I went to college at University of Massachusetts Lowell. And so people are surprised. I have a blog online and everything, and people are surprised when they find out that a big goon meathead also likes to write some sincere words and everything. But I think that there's balance to everything in life, and I think that you don't have to be defined to one single role, and that's definitely how I live my life. And kind of like the yin and the yang, I guess. You can be a savage on the ice, but then you can be a sincere artist off the ice, if that's what you want to be.
Sure. Spoken like a true warrior poet, my friend. That's what it's all.
Respect.
That's what it's all about. And you have great examples. Some of the greatest warriors were like that. Musashi. Even someone like Socrates. People know Socrates for his philosophy, but you read the accounts in battle, and he was one of the fiercest warriors for the Athenians out there. And you would think, oh, what, Socrates? But they all had that. That was something that was respected and lauded back in the Renaissance and back in the classical times. But it's not something that's kind of translated and carried through as often. So, that's a big part of my message that I like to push, and it's awesome to seeing that spread, because sometimes people think, like, I'm sure you've met it, hockey players who maybe they would like to play the flute or something, but they don't, because they think, oh, I'm a hockey player. This is my role. This is my story. This is what I got to do. I gotta drink the Guinness and eat the cheeseburgers, because that's what hockey players do, and so the more you can break that out, I think the better it's going to be, and the happier people are going to be.
Yeah, there's definitely a big shift going on. I mean, that, and everywhere, especially in the hockey world, I see too, where everybody is very conscious about their bodies and their minds and nutrition and everything. Where, this is my 8th year playing pro hockey, and 8 years ago, people definitely weren't talking about nutrition. It was just over the course of 8 years, it's changed so much, and there's just an awakening happening everywhere, and especially with in my line of work with athletes. And I think it's only going to keep growing exponentially when people keep gaining the knowledge of, what fuels to put into their body, and, what activities are going to give them the best athletic output.
Yep.
And, it's cool to see.
Right on, my friend. Well, thank you for coming on this podcast. It's good to get to know you and have this chat. If you ever find yourself wanting to make your way out to Austin, please let us know. We'd love to host you out here. We'll throw some monkey kettlebells around, and maces and clubs and ropes, and
nice.
Get busy with it. I'll steer you away from it. I don't know if I can steer you away from all the cheeseburgers.
I never even mentioned Alpha Brain. That's my number one supplement. It's unbelievable.
Right on, man. I'm glad you dig it.
Good stuff. I took 4 before the interview. Hopefully it's working.
It did. Excellent. For your first podcast, killed it. Not so bad, my friend. Not so bad. Excellent, man. Well, please feel free to reach out to us. Anything that we can do to continue to help, and tell your teammates what's up for us, and keep kicking ass, man. We'll be there to support you, and thank you for the support that you've had in finding us and reaching out, and it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for supporting me with your company, and I feel very honored to be a part of the team, and I truly believe in the products. I definitely use them. I would use them if I wasn't endorsed by you guys, but I am, and I'm appreciative. So thank you.
Right on. Right on. Take it easy, Bobby Robbins. Have a good one, my brother.
See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks.